breaking news happening now. This is WKYT News.
4 of us here all lined up shot. 4 different ones of us are here shot.
Frantic calls from drivers on I-75 in Laurel County.
Someone just shot at us. I have a hole through my door.
5 people hit by bullets flying at them from a cliffside.
Our priority is the safety of everyone involved. We are committed to make sure that there is no harm to anybody in the community and also to our first responders on the ground.
An urgent manhunt now in its 3rd day, forcing investigators into rugged terrain.
Our goal is to apply steady pressure and wearing Mr. Couch down.
Tonight, the question from concerned Kentuckians, where is Joseph Couch?
We are talking about KSP, the Laurel County Sheriff's Office, London Police, the FBI, the ATF. They are all here in the London-Laurel County area searching for Joseph Couch. They have to be exhausted at this point, but what we heard today in that news conference is that they absolutely will not stop. Today we learned a lot of new information, including learning about the moments that those shots first rang out on Interstate 75 this past weekend from those drivers. We are hearing the chilling 911 calls. Those are newly released 911 calls made from the interstate, from the victims themselves and what they experienced. Multiple cars were hit. We know that 5 people were injured. WKYT's Phil Pendleton spent most of the day going through these calls and listening to just how frightened all of these folks were in those moments that those shots rang out. Phil?
Amber, we'll get to those calls in just a second, but just about an hour and a half ago, I had an opportunity to talk to a man who claims that he saw Joseph Couch in the moments after that shooting, as we are very close to the interstate right here, just the intersection of 909 and 25. He says that he saw Joseph Couch coming toward him, and he says the fact that he was armed and he claims Couch was not is what saved his life.
Black SUV, a white male got out of it, no shirt on, red hat on backwards, blue jeans, comes running through the intersection right into the lot where we're at behind my trailer.
From there, he says the man took off into the woods. He says shortly after that, police flooded the area.
Had I not broke a brake line, we would have been on the interstate as he was shooting.
Yes, sir. I'm here at the 49 exit going towards Lexington. I just got shot at off the southbound side.
Numerous people called 911 when their cars and trucks were shot. And some were telling them of injured passengers or of other drivers.
She's gushing blood bad.
Okay, and is she on the interstate with you?
Yeah.
49? Okay.
We're on the 49 on the northbound side here. She's gushing blood. I'm going to try something to stop this bleeding.
We just called you or a mile marker 49, but we had to move up a mile. They're still shooting at, they just tried shooting at a motorcycle guy.
You that couple a few minutes ago. What did they say?
Yeah, Bill and Amber, we are here at the 49er Fuel Center, and that is where I was able to meet up with Fred and Sheila McCoy. As you mentioned, that is the couple who says that they found this body in the vicinity of exit 49 just off here in the Daniel Boone National Forest, the same one that law enforcement are working to identify at this very moment. This couple tells me that they weren't just hiking, they were hunting. They've been looking for Joseph Couch, and it all started as a date night idea 6 days ago. They've been posting a series of videos on their YouTube channel. The channel is titled Hatfield's and McCoy's Museum Adventures, and each day you'll see they've come out with a new episode of this series they've titled Bounty Hunters. They were live streaming today when they tell me they came upon the body, and they walked me through what that search has been like and what ultimately led them back to this area.
Anywhere we could look, and Saturday we come out of here and seen a bunch of vultures up there, and what we've been looking for, if somebody's dead, there's going to be the vultures. Follow the vultures, and there's only about 5 or 6. They were lighting on that tower up there, and we figured just a small animal where there was just so few of them. We come back Sunday and Monday, and more and more. Today there was about 50.
Released at this time on that shooting situation that killed Deputy Josh Phipps. That will come in time, certainly. Tonight, though, what we are learning is more about the man being called a hero. His badge, number 1442. His truck is right behind me, and even at this hour,
a woman who lives here says she came face to face with something inside her home and around her home that was quite literally too close to home.
Just come home to a disaster.
Rita Campbell is thankful she was not home when gunfire erupted at her trailer park Monday evening, and she could not believe what became of her home or what or who she found inside.
A guy shot a cop, and the guy come and run into my camper, and that's where his life ended.
Campbell says her home's windows were busted out and bullet holes were in the trees outside. She says police were everywhere, and there was a dead man inside her home.
Apparently got him when he apparently hit the hall and the bedroom, because that's mainly where most of the blood is.
A shocked courtroom, sobbing and wailing after seeing a deadly shooting shown on surveillance video. Prosecutor Jackie Steele only had a few questions for the detective testifying who the people were in the video, their answer being Sheriff Sean Mickey Steins and Judge Kevin Mullins.
Do you know what portion of the courthouse that is?
That is the judge's chambers.
And where's that located at, physically located?
In the Letcher County Courthouse.
The hearing lasted about 40 minutes, and all but 5 was spent by Stein's attorney asking questions, at first about witnesses.
One person stated that she didn't recognize him as being Judge Mullins' voice, but heard somebody say, "Help, help."
Kentucky State Police say they're still actively investigating the case, including interviews and examination of evidence and phones owned by both Steins and Mullins and the records on them.
Have officers confirmed that the sheriff's daughter's phone number was on Judge Mullins' phone?
Yes.
Stein's attorney argued that Steins may have shot Mullins after a moment of extreme emotional disturbance.
And the testimony that I heard was that this was not planned. So I don't think it is that far of a stretch to say that whatever happened in the moments that we didn't see today were the precipitating factor.
Bartley argued that may be the basis for manslaughter, not murder. Bartley also asked about a longer version of the video and what led up to it.
Well, I mean, at this point, let's speculate because I've not seen it. To me, what happened in the moments prior to the clip that was shown are more important or just as important as the portion we saw.
It happened earlier this morning when a downed tree hit a utility line that then tugged this line across the interstate. You can see there's 3 cars that have power lines on them. Again, all people are inside those vehicles with those down power lines on. You can see also they have just gotten word that there's no current running through officially for those contractors, so they can start to cut those power lines. So this is about expected to be closed for another 15 minutes, but you can see how far that traffic has backed up. People are out of their vehicles. People are doing their best to stay on one side of the berm. We've got local officials all surrounding parts of the area. Definitely a lot of activity for parts of our region. Now, I did speak with local officials, and they did tell me that what we can expect is that this will end up opening here within at least the next half hour.
We begin with WKYT Samantha Valentino. She's joining us live here in Lexington. She's in the Chevy Chase neighborhood on Fontaine Road. And Sam, that area is one that is without power right now, but you say that crews are working to restore it. We can hear it.
Yeah, Amber, you can definitely hear it. You can also see it. KU is here. We've got people chopping down some trees. As you mentioned, this is Fontaine Road in the Chevy Chase area. I'm sure you don't need me to tell you power is out on this street. Several different trees have taken out multiple power lines. You can see there's a lot of transformers even laying on the roads. You really don't realize the size of these things until they're on the street next to you. Trees not only impacting power lines, also homes. We've got a car here that was crushed. A pretty miraculous story here where we heard from neighbors earlier. The driver of this car was actually in the driver's seat, and he heard this tree starting to crack. So what he did was he managed to move over into the passenger seat, and if you come and look, He made it out of this car without a scratch. Really a miraculous story here. We have heard of a few people with some minor injuries in Lexington, but I know this man sure is grateful he made it out okay here.
Well, back here in Perry County, it has also been a really long day for a lot of different folks. For some business owners along Main Street here in Hazard, it was the first chance today to get into their businesses and into their buildings to see just how much that they have lost. Kevin C. Johnson is a longtime attorney here in Hazard, and Saturday night he sat at home helplessly watching as the water slowly overtook his law office. The sounds of cleanup are loud and clear along Main Street in Hazard. Mud so thick in places that it's hard to even move. Kevin Johnson's law office has been along this stretch of Main Street for years. The North Fork just within eyesight. Up until Saturday night, he had only ever seen water at his front steps.
It always stops. This time when it didn't and started coming underneath the door, I knew it was going to be different.
His cases, clients, and day-to-day business now on hold. Johnson admits it was hard seeing the devastation firsthand.
It was bad. I mean, as you can see, now we don't have anything, but it was just everything was scattered. All of our files, our furniture, my kids' pictures, everything.
Johnson told us he knew the exact moment his office had been inundated with water, watching at home on security camera. What are you thinking when you can see that, I'm sure, at home?
You're helpless.
Yeah.
When the camera was set right here.
Really?
Yeah, so it got up that high. I could see what was going on until then. But by then, all the furniture was floating out here.
Help, though, has arrived. Members of the Hazard High School football team, the coach, and even complete strangers all pitching in to help get mud and debris out.
They just drive by and see us over here, and they just stop and get out and come over and pitch in.
Kevin W. Johnson says thanks to electronic backups of all of his files, he will be able to get back to work. He doesn't know when that will be, but he will be able to get back to work. But it will take some time. And it's really amazing to think about the water that came out of the river here, out of its banks. I'm about 5.5. It would have been completely over top of us and then slowly made its way over to that area of Main Street and really left a wake of destruction behind it. That water now obviously receded. You know, there are so many areas that are dealing with destruction right now. One of the other areas hit hard by this weekend's flooding is in Lee County. As the water levels there begin to drop, the true scope of the damage is still coming into picture. And WKYT's Jessica Umbro, she has been in Beattyville all day for us today. She's hearing from officials and business owners there who are navigating this situation, and they have their own cleanup process. So good evening to you, Jessica.
Good evening, Amber. We're here at the intersection of Main Street and Bradford Streets in Beattyville, and situations have kind of changed. Earlier today, this entire intersection was underwater. Now it's kind of diverged into two separate areas where you cannot go through. We even saw somebody going on a canoe to travel down Main Street. And we talked with Lee County Search and Rescue earlier. They said that there are about 50 businesses that have closed their doors today because they're that impacted by the floods.
As I told my brother who called yesterday over and over, I said, this is not in my hands and there's nothing I can do to control it.
Blanche Arnold is the owner of Blooming Sensations in downtown Beattyville. She says her building is on the second level, and while the flooding is staying in the basement, she can't get into her building. After rebuilding from a fire and floods in 2021, Arnold says she was hopeful that this wouldn't happen again.
I moved there because I thought this is a safe place that doesn't normally flood. And it flooded. You know, other than moving all of town out beyond town, I don't see how you could actually do that.
Robbie McKinney, manager of Lee County Farm Bureau Insurance, shared these images of what his business looks like. He estimates there's about 2 to 2.5 feet inside. McKinney says in 2021, that flooding reached 4.5 feet.
We came into 25 with such anticipation and that this was going to be so much better year, and here we are.
Just be advised, this is Hawaii.
Kentucky State Police say a London police officer shot and killed Douglas Harless at 511 Vanzant Road in Lilly Monday night.
Vanzant Road, stand by in the area, shots fired.
While police initially made no mention of whether Harless was armed, Thursday, 3 days after the shooting, London police said he, quote, produced a firearm and pointed it at officers. KSP says during that encounter, an LPD officer shot Harless.
They have EMS going for the perpetrator who's been hit 3 and 4. They still have other units en route to the scene.
This is 511 Vanzant Road, where KSP says the shooting happened. But according to Laurel County dispatch audio we've obtained, London police were attempting to serve a search warrant for this house, 489 Vanzant.
It's just London PD, 489 Vanzant Road, 489 Vanzant Road. Units on scene can serve search warrant. Call on the radio for assistance. Shots fired. 489 Vanzant Road.
We went to the Laurel County Circuit Court to get a copy of the search warrant. As of right now, the courts say they do not have those papers, but will get them once they do. We've also requested copies from police, along with body cam video from that night.
I just want justice served, you know, because I believe he was done wrong.
Shane Cornett says he's been friends with Harless for 16 years.
Once they told me, I called his phone over and over, and it went to voicemail. He always, where he's a maintenance man, he has to keep his phone on. So I knew right then that was true.
Cornett says Harless was a great man who was always willing to help out someone in need. He calls his death a loss for the entire community. In Laurel County, Samantha Valentino, WKYT. The video starts at 11:50 p.m. Monday. London police are heard banging on Harless's door and announcing themselves. They're heard again over the sound of barking dogs. As we speed things up to 11:51, officers are seen moving around Harless's porch as others move to different positions around his home. Then, what sounds like 5 gunshots. And then things get quiet. Several officers are seen exiting the home while others gather in the yard. It's 11:52. From Laurel County dispatch audio we've obtained, we know it's at around this time officers call for assistance.
Vanzant Road, stand by in the area, shots fired. Where they go? They're at 49 Vanzant Road, serving a search warrant.
But Kentucky State Police say Harless was shot at 511 Vanzant. This is 511, and 489 is down the road. We spoke off camera with the owner of the property. He tells us nobody has lived in 489 for months.
Shots fired. 489 Vanzant Road. They have EMS going for the perpetrator who's been hit.
KSP says life-saving measures were performed on Harless at the scene, but he was then pronounced dead by the Laurel County coroner.
When we look at Fayette County Public Schools' budget, very little of it is spent on trips, about 2% of their $800 million. That number is pretty easy to figure out. What's a little more confusing, looking through the hundreds of leave requests, is who knows about each trip.
Superintendent Dr. Demetrius Liggins says the school board gives the final say. He would not talk to us on camera, but did send an official statement through FCPS spokesperson Dia Davidson-Smith. The statement says each request is vetted by multiple departments, including campus and district administration, and that board members receive detailed information in advance of each meeting, allowing ample time for review, questions, and one-on-one discussions with the superintendent. Board members we talked to say there's rarely discussion about individual trips. Professional leave requests are approved en masse during monthly work sessions.
Good evening, everyone. It's 5:30 somewhere.
This is audio of November 11th.
And next is the approval of the consent items for the planning meeting. Is there a motion to that effect?
I move we approve the consent items as listed.
Motion by Board Member Green. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Second by Board Member Clark. Questions on the consent items? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
We reviewed almost a year's worth of professional leave requests. That included the trip to Dallas, Texas, where 36 teachers, staff, and board members were approved to spend more than $101,000 in hotels, meals, and transportation. We also found the board approved Henry Clay High School to use their soccer booster club funds to send 3 from their athletic department to Manchester, England, to learn best practices for high school soccer coaches. The board approved a few other overseas trips during meetings this year. They sent 2 administrators to Puerto Rico to recruit. One of the 2 will travel overseas again next year. The board approved the request to recruit in Panama. They approved 9 trips for Dr. Liggins between February and November of this year. The trips across the country make up 25 workdays, costing close to $23,000. They approved Deputy Superintendent Houston Barber's travel to 5 different states in a 6-month time frame. His trips make up 17 workdays at a cost of more than $13,000. In one instance, the school board double approved Henry Clay's principal to participate in a conference in New Orleans. The trip was submitted twice during separate meetings with different costs and dates. In the official FCPS statement, Davidson Smith called that a clerical error. And in an election year, when voters in Kentucky were deciding whether to give charter schools the same funding as public schools, the school board spent more than $46,000 sending 24 teachers to Atlanta to learn at Ron Clark's private school. We asked Dr. Liggins to talk about these findings on camera. We sent emails to every board member asking them for responses on camera. We also reached out to the 2 incoming board members.
Do you think transparency on the board level could be better?
Always. That's one of the things I ran on. And I think we have to be careful when we talk about transparency, because sometimes people hear that word and the implication is, well, they're hiding something. Transparency can literally be more effective communication.
Penny Christian will represent District 3 on the school board next year. She understands professional leave. She deals with it at her own job as the National PTA Committee Chair.
This district is growing, and doing what I do at the national level for PTA in terms of travel and in terms of professional learning and professional development, it has to be a piece of what you do.
Christian says reacting to what the board has already approved is never as good as being proactive.
If you're proactive, you're going to do some research. You're going to find out some information. You're going to reach out to who you think you need to. If you don't know who to reach out to, then you reach out to the upper folk and say, who do I reach out to?
2 current board members replied to our questions about these trips. Amanda Ferguson told us that she questioned the district's decision to invite all board members, 2 who were up for re-election, on the trip to Texas. Jason Moore told us that it was his understanding that Dr. Liggins and Mr. Murphy were already addressing our concerns. For WKYT Investigates, I'm Kristen Kennedy.
She's developed these ways to use her body.
Stroke after stroke.
She'll start out with the 2 arms.
In breath after breath.
Until she gets going really fast. It gives her that edge.
Gray Rutledge is getting her life back.
She's come a long way.
1 lap at a time.
It honestly keeps me sane because it gives me something to focus on. When I'm in the pool, I can't really think about anything else.
For this Frankfort, Kentucky native, swimming is much more than a sport.
Outside of the pool, I've flipped out of my chair many times. You know, the things that you're terrified of when you first get paralyzed, I'm not really scared of it anymore.
You ready? It's a lot of work for her. People don't realize how much it is and how, you know, the strain on her body. It's the best thing for her. When your child is sick, you feel every bit of it. It's a constant, with a chronic illness, it's a constant battle.
It's called Guillain-Barré syndrome. It's very rare. I'm just really lucky. And it just kind of attacked the nerves leading up to my spinal cord.
In April of 2023,
it had spread to here in my hands. I was already having trouble breathing.
Gray found herself hospitalized.
Everything looked kind of black.
And in a fight for her life.
I woke up about a week and a half later.
Paralyzed from a rib cage down.
It didn't really hit me until I was in outpatient. I got home and I was like, oh, this is staying with me.
But it was through that outpatient therapy
she has such drive
that Gray discovered a talent for swimming.
The first time I met her, I knew she wasn't going to sing.
Alberta Kramer.
It was just really fun to work with her, and she just was so accepting of whatever I tried to do with her.
Was the first to introduce Gray to Paraswim.
I wasn't really a swimmer prior.
You got it.
That would soon change.
Once I got over that first milestone of just swimming all the way down to the 25 yards, I was like, okay, I want to do 50. All right, let's try 100.
That drive propelling her.
I find goals. I'm like, okay, I want to drop this many seconds. There's a competition you have to qualify for. Well, I'm going to.
And this past July,
I do whatever I have to do it. I mean,
14 months after her accident, Gray found herself representing Kentucky at the Move United Nationals in Alabama, where she brought home not 1, but 6 gold medals.
And they're like, no, you beat American records.
But what she gained that day,
Paraswim was actually one of the big things that helped me a lot.
Was worth more than gold.
I needed motivation really badly. I'm making a difference. I have goals.
Lee K. Howard.
I needed to know I could go somewhere with something in my life.
WKYT.
Very personal to you, something that you started about 30 years ago, and it's in honor of your own father. Talk to me about that.
Well, my dad was a great guy, but my dad didn't get a chance to go to school, and he couldn't read and write. And that was always kind of a trouble, just something troubling to him. And I just always wanted to do something good for my dad because he was always doing something great for us. So I got the idea to start this Imagination Library program, and just to kind of in our hometown, I thought maybe it might go a couple of counties over. But everybody started taking a liking to it, and the governor at the time in Tennessee thought, this is a great program, let's go statewide with this. So we did, and next thing you know, we're in Canada. Next thing you know, we're here and there. And now we're in places all over the world, and we've given away like 240 million books since we started it. Very, very proud of it, and my dad got to live long enough to see it all doing great.
Just like an old man.
You got it.
63-year-old.
Some of you might have seen Farmer Baker's story over the summer.
I still feel young anyway.
But more importantly, the woman who needed to see it did.
Lord have mercy. I just sat down and cried.
Farmer lost his home and his whole world in late July of 2022 as floods washed through the River Caney. Just a few weeks earlier, unbeknownst to him, his wife Vanessa had reached out to Sherry Robinson, whom she'd never met, to help finish a quilt.
It was for a gift, and I had 2 weeks to do it.
Within a few days, it was ready, and they agreed to wait 2 more weeks to exchange.
If I'd have met that following Sunday, I wouldn't have got it. She'd have took it back and lost that. So I was the one that actually asked her if we could wait to the next Sunday, and that's how I ended up keeping the quilt. So I think everything happens for a reason, and I believe this is it.
When she made her way to Jackson that weekend, she knew it would be impossible to connect with Vanessa. There wasn't much left.
There wasn't even a road. There was nothing.
Each night, Vanessa's photo played on a loop during the evening news as rescuers desperately tried to find her.
We actually seen it on the TV, and I was heart sunk. I said, there is no way that this could be happening. And that's what happened.
For an entire year, Sherry looked for the Baker family.
I would still reach out, like he's there somewhere, but I didn't even know his name, nothing. There's no contact.
Finally, she put the quilt in a protective bag and laid it on the shelf. That was until the 2-year anniversary.
Like I said, I never watched the news, but I was gone. I came in and sat down within 2 minutes. That story aired, and that would have never happened if it wasn't supposed to happen.
A similar experience washed over her. Sherry herself is a survivor.
I feel like God put our path in the same direction.
She lived through the deadly tornado outbreak in West Liberty back in 2012.
This is the most important, that if this would have been in another state, I would have taken the drive to present it to him, because I wanted to make sure that he got it. I didn't want to mail it, ship it. I wanted to make sure that I actually handed it to him.
So we helped stitch these 2 strangers together.
This gift is from Vanessa to you, not from me, but to you.
A gesture measured in kindness.
I appreciate it, I sure do. It's a pretty quilt, too. Well, she's still taking care of me then.
Helping to weave the pieces whole.
Lord, I missed her.
Does this complete your new home, adding this personal touch?
Yeah. I just wish you were here with me.
His soul fed through needle and thread.
Oh, wow. She would have loved it.
A patchwork quilt bringing comfort to their home and warmth in his heart. Kelsey Soto.
I'll keep it the rest of my life.
WKYT.